continue with 14. Let's continue with 14-9. Here in the statement of financial position on March 31, prepared under cash basis, what amount should be reported as capital? Now, Tori began a service proprietorship with an initial cash investment of 200,000. The partnership provided 500,000 of services in February and received full payment in March. The proprietorship incurred expenses of 300,000 in February, which were paid in April. During March, Tori drew 100,000 against the capital amount. In the statement of financial position on March 31, prepared under cash basis, what amount should be reported as capital? So we have now the capital beginning or February 1 of 200,000. Then we have the cash basis income for February and March for 500,000. From the total of 700,000, we deduct withdrawals during March of 100,000. The capital end is 600,000. Now, with regards to expenses of 300,000, these were paid in April. And since the company uses the cash basis of accounting, the amount of expenses payable in April will not be recorded in February or March. So we have now the answer to 14-9, letter C. Now we have the next problem. What total amount was paid for expenses during the current year? When the company provided the following information for the current year, we have December 31 and January 1. So we have for inventory, prepaid expenses, accounts payable, accrued expenses, cost of goods sold, and expenses. The expenses for the current year included depreciation of 200,000 and amortization of 100,000. Now, what total amount was paid for expenses during the current year? So now we have the amount of expenses given is 3 million, but we have to deduct depreciation being non-cash and amortization of 200,000 and 100,000 respectively. Then prepaid expenses at the end of 100,000 add, and beginning is 50,000 we deduct. Then accrued expenses on December 31 we deduct, and on January 1 we add. Now again, take note of the reverse treatment of prepayments and accruals. Now reverse the fact that prepaid expenses December 31 or ending we add, however accrued expenses ending is deducted. So cash paid for expenses is 2,550,000 and it's letter A. Then 14-11, under accrual basis, what amount should be reported as sales for the year ended December 31, 2021? Raid Company began operations on January 1, 2020, has elected to use the cash basis of accounting for tax purposes and accrual for financial statements. The entity reported sales of 1,750,000 and 800 in the tax returns for the years ended December 31, 21 and 2020 respectively. The entity reported accounts receivable of 300,000 and 500,000 in the statement of financial position on December 31, 2021 and 2020, respectively. Under accrual basis, what amount should be reported as sales for the year ended December 31, 2021? So we now begin with accounts receivable and add sales of 2021 under cash basis. From the total, we deduct accounts receivable on December 31, 2020. So meaning at the beginning of the period in the amount of for 500,000. Now, these amounts are given in the problem. So we now get the total and the difference, is sales under the accrual basis. So it's letter B for 14-11. Then for 14-12, we have now the requirement. Under accrual basis, what amount should be reported as cost of goods sold in 2021? Now we have accounts payable on December 31, 2021, or the ending balance of 750,000. And then we add payments to suppliers for 2,900,000 or 4,900,000. The entity paid suppliers during the year ended December 31, 2021. So the total of 5,650,000, we now deduct accounts payable beginning in the amount of 500,000. So we now get the difference. It's the amount of purchases. Now we have for problem 12, we got only the requirement is under accrual basis, what amount should be reported as cost of goods sold in 2021. So we now begin from inventory beginning and add purchases. So we have the amount of purchases. And the total, from the total, we now deduct inventory on December 31, 2021 in the amount of 2,600,000. So cost of goods sold is 5,450,000 or letter A. Next, we have problem 13. Under accrual basis, what amount of income should be reported in the 2021 income statement? Now, we have the use of the accrual basis. The entity had 6 million in cash basis income for 2021, and it provided the following information at year end 2021 and 2020, or the beginning of the period. Under accrual basis, the amount of income should be reported in the 2021 income statement. So the amount of income to be reported in the 2021 income statement. So we have now the cash basis income for 6 million, then add accounts receivable at the end of 2021 or the ending balance, and we have the accounts payable at the beginning. So the total of 7,000. Adding this to your cash basis income, we have the total of 13 million, and then we deduct accounts receivable beginning and accounts payable end. Again, take note of the reverse treatment of your accounts payable and receivable. So the balance now is your income under the accrual basis. Next is problem 14. What amount should be reported as accrual basis net income? So we now begin from cash collected from customers in the amount of 50,000. million, then we have expenses paid deduct for 42 million. We have the depreciation deduct, and we have the net income under cash basis of 7.5 million. Then we add the following should be recognized. We have decrease in accounts receivable. We have to deduct, meaning the accounts receivable beginning is less than the ending. I mean, the beginning is more than the ending. The fact that there is a decrease. So if the beginning is normally considered in your accounts receivable treatment, then your ending is added and then the beginning is deducted. Now, the decrease in accounts receivable in 300,000, we have to deduct, and increase in prepaid expenses to be added, then increase in advances from customers. Actually, advances from customers is a liability. So advances from customers, you are going to recognize this as a liability. The fact that you are owing the customers the amounts advanced if ever the customers will not pursue buying from the company. So we have now, actually your entry is to debit cash and credit advances from customers. So it's a credit. Now we have an increase and the amount of 400,000 is to be deducted. An increase in advances. Decrease in accrued expenses to be added. Increase in accounts payable is to be deducted. Now take note, your accounts payable increase is added, is deducted. Increase in accounts payable is deducted. The same with increase in advances from customers. The fact that both of these are liabilities. So we have now to deduct. And we have the net income under the accrual basis. The answer is 6 million. It's letter B. Here we have the guideline, cash basis income to accrual basis. Increase in asset, increase in net income. Decrease in asset, decrease in net income. Increase in liability, decrease in net income, and decrease in liability, increase in net income. So in the problems that we solve, if you have receivable, ending is added, beginning is deducted. So if there's an increase, normally, no, you use the sign of the bigger figure. Now we have 14, that's 14, the answer is B, a symbol. Then we have 15. We have the problem with the long data, and we have only questions 1 and 2 to answer, and the guidelines. So we have now problem 14-15. The first is, what amount should be reported as net income under cash basis for 2021? So number 15, question number 1, the cash basis net income before depreciation is 2,600,000, and the depreciation is to be deducted in the amount of 100,000. So we have now the answer of 2.5 million. That is your cash basis net income after deducting depreciation. So we have now the second requirement here is the amount to be reported as net income under accrual basis for 2021. So we have now the cash basis net income before depreciation of 2.6 million. Then we have depreciation of 100,000 deduct. Prepaid insurance at the end is 1,200 times 8/12. So the amount of the prepaid insurance is 1,200,000, and as stated, a comprehensive insurance policy requires a payment every year for the upcoming year. The last payment of 1.2 million was made on September 1, 2021. Now take note that this payment, which is to be considered here as prepaid insurance at the end of the period, we have now 1,200,000 multiplied by 8/12 because the last payment was made on September 1. So counting September, October, November, and December, prepaid insurance in as of December 31, 2021 is 800,000. Then we have now accounts receivable at the end of the period of 800, let me see, 650,000, and at the beginning of the period, it's 500,000. So we have at the end of 2021, various credit card entities owed Standard Company 650,000. At the end of 2021. At the end of 2020, customer credit card charges outstanding were 500,000. So we have to deduct 500,000. Next, we have accrued salaries at the end. Accrued salaries at the end for the amount is, let me see, accrued salaries December 31 of 800,000, and we have the amount of accrued salaries on December 31, 2020 for 700,000, which we are going to add. Next, we have accrued utility bills on December 31, accrued utility bills to be added, and the amount of accrued utility bills on December 31, 2020 is 250,000. Next, we have accrued utility bills. Ending is to be added, and beginning is ending is to be deducted, I mean, for the accrued utility bills, and the beginning is to be added because this is a liability item. Next, we have inventory on December 31, 2021. And we have the inventory beginning and the inventory end, and accounts payable on December 31. Right now, we have the next problem. For 14-15, question number 2 is the answer, or is letter A. Next, we go to number 16. Under accrual basis, what amount should be reported as gross sales? So we have now to determine the income from gross sales in number 16. So accounts receivable at the end is 1,350,000. Then we add accounts written off for 100,000. Sales returns with credit customers for anyway sales returns. Here we are still dealing with problem 16. Sales returns with credit memo, and we have gas receipts from customers, sales discounts, still to be added. All of this, we have the total of 10,200,000. Cash refund to customers. We have the amount of erroneously debited account receivable. So we have to deduct the amount of 50,000 in accounts receivable in January 1 is 1.2 million. So the gross sales is 8,950,000, which is letter B. Under the accrual basis, what amount should be reported as gross purchases? Under the accrual basis, what amount should be reported as gross purchases? So we have accounts payable at the end of 1,850,000. Then we have purchase returns with debit memo, 400,000, and payments to trade creditors, 5 million, and we have accounts payable beginning to be deducted. So in other words, in number 16, we have two questions. Question number 1 is the amount of that should be reported as gross sales. So in number 1, question number 1, the answer is B, or 8.950. Whereas in number 2, the answer is question B of 5,950,000 for the gross purchases. Then question number 3, we have the amount of accrual basis in answering number 2. So we have the amount of under the accrual basis, what amount should be reported as cost of goods sold in number 3, whereas the answer is C, inventory beginning at net purchases. Then we have to deduct, or no, we have collections of accounts receivable. Oh. So we have now for number 16, cost of goods sold of 4,950,000. It's letter C, while in number 2, the amount to be reported as gross purchases, you have 5,950,000 for the gross purchases. And for number 3, we have the amount of cost of goods sold, forwarding the amount of net purchases to the cost of goods sold statement. Now we go to problem 17. Problem 17, question number 1. Under accrual basis, what amount should be reported as gross sales for the current year? In problem 17, which is using the accrual basis, we have to consider in problem 17, we have 2 requirements. And the first one is, what amount should be reported as gross sales. What amount should be reported? Okay, so number 17, question number 1, the answer is A. The amount that should be reported as gross sales for the current year. Accounts receivable and notes receivable, trade notes. Then we have corrections of accounts receivable, and we have sales discount and collections of notes receivable. We have the total, and we also have we have to report collections of notes receivable. So from the total, we deduct accounts receivable beginning and notes receivable beginning also. And we have the gross sales equal to 2,420,000. Now that's the amount of in number 17. That's the amount of gross sales for the current year. And question number 2 asks for what amount should be reported as gross purchases for the current year. So gross purchases for number 17, we begin with accounts payable and then add notes payable trade for the balance beginning of 200,000. And we have the balance and also add the bank loans. All we have the payment of accounts payable and the payment of discounts. Okay, so we have now question number 2 for number 17. What is the gross amount of purchases? In question number 1, we are asked for the gross sales. So the gross sales of 2,420,000 in letter A. Letter B, we have the gross, in question 2, we are asked for the gross purchases. So begin with accounts payable and then your trade notes balance and we have the bank loan on December 31. We have now your notes payable trade 100,000. Your notes payable trade is treated just like your accounts payable, meaning they are in connection with the purchase of your merchandise or raw materials on account. So the balance is now your notes payable trade because the 100,000, that's your notes payable supposed to be non-trade. If you borrow money from the bank and you issue a note, it's still a notes payable. Then we have the payment of accounts payable, purchase discounts, payment on notes payable. So we have the total, and from the total, we deduct accounts payable beginning, notes payable beginning, purchases on account, and cash sales. So I mean cash purchases. So that gives us the gross purchases of 1,960,000. 14-17. That's question number 2 is letter A. Then we move to 14-18. 14-18 question. What amount should be reported as prepaid royalties at year end? So we have now prepaid royalties beginning. We add adjustments on December 31 for 250,000. We have the prepaid royalties at the end. So meaning you really have to determine the adjustments. Now for 14-18. Next is 14-19 on December 31, 2021. What amount should be reported as prepaid expenses? So we have now prepaid insurance 32,000 times 6 over 12. So 32,000 times 6 over 12, and we have prepaid rent. So the total of the prepayments on December 31, 2021 is 400,000. Next, we go to problem 19. 18. By the way, number 18, what should be reported as prepaid royalties at year end? The answer is D as in dog, the amount of 900,000. Then problem 19 is asking for what amount should be reported as prepaid expenses. So in problem 19, we begin with prepaid insurance for 32,000 times 6 over 12. So you have now your prepaid insurance of 32,000 adjusted for 6 over 12. So now we get number 18, the prepaid royalties is 900,000. Number 19, we have prepaid insurance of 32,000 times 6 over 12. And we got the prepaid rent for 20. So the total is here for total prepaid expenses on December 31 for 36,000. Next is number 20. What's the amount of prepaid insurance on March 31, 2021? So prepaid insurance on March 31, 2021 is taken by deducting from prepaid insurance on March 31, 2021. So we get 72,000 times 35 over 36. So this is your problem 20 with requirement number 1, the amount to be reported as prepaid insurance. So it's 70,000. Next is question number 2. What amount should be reported to insurance expense for the 3 months ended March 31? So that's after the regular year end this time is March 31. So in question number 2 or problem number 20, question number 2, what amount should be reported for insurance expense, and what amount? What for the 3 months ended March? What amount should be reported for insurance expense for the 3 months ended March 31, 2021? So your question number 2 for number 20, insurance per book, prepaid insurance before adjustment, and we deduct prepaid insurance. In number 20, That gives us the balance of 75,020 and 70,000. The increase in here prepaid insurance not taken up, and the insurance expense is in the amount of 5,000. Next, we go to 14-21. In 14-21, the answer is number 21. Ano? Ano? Tika ka. Ano? We have problem 14-21. On December 31, 2021, what amount should be reported as prepaid expenses? So we have prepaid insurance in the amount of 36,000. Then we have prepaid taxes for 18,000. So the total on December 31, 2021 is 54,000. The prepaid insurance is 72,000, and this was paid on July 1, 2021. So at the end of December 31, 2021, the expired portion is 6 months. So the prepaid portion is also 6 months. For the prepaid taxes, amount paid of 24,000 for real estate taxes to cover the period ending September 30, 2022. So meaning it begins October 1, 2021 and ends September 30, 2022. So by December 31, 2021, the expired portion is 3 months, October, November, December. Therefore, the prepaid portion is 9 months. Next, number 22, required what amount of interest expense should be reported for the current year. So we have now the interest paid totaling 100,000, and then we add prepaid interest 2020 for 23,500, and the interest payable at the end of 2021 for 53,500. Then prepaid interest 2021 for 18,000, and we have the interest payable or accrued interest by 2020 of 45,000. So the total of 63,000, and so the difference, which is the interest expense of 114,000. Now that is the interest expense for the current year. For the letter answer is 114,000, letter D. Then we move on to 14-23. Now what's the answer to 14-23? Here, the problem is asking for what amount should be reported as advertising expense for the year ended December 31, 2021. We have the balance per book for the given is 990,000. Now that's your balance in the advertising expense account before any year-end adjustments relating to. So to 990,000, we add radio advertising accrued on December 31. So accrued at year-end for 50,000. So the total we deduct prepaid newspaper advertising for 60,000. The advertising expense is 980,000 or letter B. Next, for 14-24, what amount should be reported for compensation expense for 2021? So compensation expense per book for 490,000, and then we add accrued salaries of 18,000 and accrued bonus 175,000. So the total compensation expense for 683,000. That's letter A. Then followed by problem 25. The company reported that the professional fees expense account had a balance of 820,000 on December 31, 2021, before considering year-end adjustments relating to the following. So we have now the balance per book of 820,000, then accrued legal fees November and December total for 130,000. So the total professional fees expense of 950,000, which is letter B. Next, number 26. Under accrual basis, what amount should be reported as royalty expense? So we have now the royalties paid for 3 million. Then prepaid royalties in 2020 is 550,000, and 2021 we deduct 450,000, and the royalties payable for 2021 of 750,000, and royalties payable 2020 is 800,000. So the royalty expense of 2021 is 3,050,000. Now the amount given is the expense. And I mean the amount given is the royalties paid, but you are asking for, or you are looking for the royalty expense for 2021. So the amount of 3,050. In some problems, you are given the expense and you are going to look for the amount paid. This time, the amount paid is given, you are asked for the expense. Now take note, it's either that you add or deduct the prepayments and the accruals. Next, in number 27, what amount should be reported as accrued salaries payable on December 31? So in number 27, accrued salaries payable on January 1 is 400,000, then add salaries expense of 4,200,000. From the total, we deduct salaries paid during the year of 3.9 million. Accrued salaries and is 700,000. That's letter C. Next, number 28. What is the adjusted entry for supplies expense at year end? So we have the supplies inventory in January 1. Then we have to add payment for supplies debited to supplies inventory in the amount of 1 million as stated. The full amount of 1 million was debited to supplies inventory. So you add this to the inventory balance. in January 1. From the total 1,360,000, you deduct supplies, inventory, and you have the difference as supplies expense for 760,000. So the entry debit supplies expense, debit supplies expense, and credit supplies inventory in the amount of 760,000. That's now for your journal entry. Next, number 29. What's the amount of the adjusting entry for accrued wages payable at the end of the year? So in number 29, we have wages payable January 1 for 100,000. In number 29, then to wages payable in January 1, we are adding wages expense of 1,100,000. Then from the total, we deduct wages payments. Wages payable end is 250,000. So the answer number 29 is letter A. Then number 30, under accrual basis, what amount of rental revenue should be reported for the current year? And we have now in number 30 for cash received from tenants, rentals receivable, and unearned rentals beginning, and rent written off. So the total of 12,940,000, we deduct rentals receivable beginning, and we have unearned rentals of 2021 for 2.4 million. Rental revenue for 2021 of 9,580,000. 9,580,000 in 14, that's 30. Next, we have 14, that's 31. Question is, under accrual basis, what amount should be reported as royalty revenue for the current year? So we have now your royalties received of 2.5 million, then royalties receivable and unearned royalties beginning. From the total, we deduct royalties receivable beginning and unearned royalties, and we have now the royalty revenue of that is letter C. Now, with regards to problem 14-32, this was already explained by the reporter, and the reporter in the afternoon class should likewise explain this. And we have now for the multiple choice theory for 14-35 and 14-36. So we have 14-35 and 14-36 for our theory part. 14-35 and 14-36. That's 34 and 35 and 36 are here. Okay. So that ends our problem solving for chapter 14. Tomorrow we are going to begin with chapter 15.